I should probably be ashamed of myself, but I'm not really. But I will say that perhaps things got a little out of control. Uh, there are. Oh, pause. All right, 18 seconds in, and I accidentally turned on the TV. Whatever, we're going to keep going. So there are reasons for some of these, and no valid reason for others. But I will get back mostly on track this next month. But let's get started, huh? We got a lot of records to talk about. Let's start with I mentioned this one last month. I mentioned it, but I didn't have it yet because I hadn't seen my mom yet. But my mom bought me a record. She bought me a record because my daughter was singing one of these songs when she was over at her house. And so my mom was like, well, you got to have this record. And I'm excited about it. I'm glad to have it. It is The Best of Queen. Queen's Greatest Hits. This says one of the world's best-selling albums of all time, 180-gram heavyweight black double vinyl, half-speed mastered at Abbey Road Studios. So, for me to have been able to read that with the little amount of light that's over here, it's a miracle. But I don't even need to pull this out. It's kind of snug in its sleeve. But I will say, most of the greatest songs right here on this album. I love Queen. I've loved Queen since I first really got into them when the Wayne's World soundtrack came out. I was obsessed with Wayne's World, and I haven't had any of their albums, but my mom had this, so I was always like, well, I can borrow it, but eventually I'll get one of my own, and now I've got it. So that's record number one. That's a good start, right? How about record number two? Record number two, sorry. How about record number two? Record number two, I was excited about a new release coming out by this band, and in my excitement, I was like, well, we ought to just go get one of their other releases. I've only got one other album by them. So let's go with an older release. So we went to my favorite record store, St. Marie Records in Fort Worth, Texas, and we picked up Soft Sounds from Another Planet by, man, it's really hard to see that in that sleeve, huh? Soft Sounds from Another Planet by Japanese Breakfast. This has some praise for her on the front of this. If you don't know Japanese Breakfast, they're fantastic. We're going to talk about them again here later. This is just black vinyl, just single LP, black vinyl, great album. Kind of the big songs off of this are, let's see here. Boyish was a big song on this. And I really, really love Jimmy Fallon Big. So then there's some other really great songs on this. But those are just a couple highlights on the record. So Japanese Breakfast, love them. Love them. I should speak into the microphone. You think I'd get that down by now, but no. Okay, so I had a plan, had some pre-orders in, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I've been wanting to do it forever. I've seen it in my record store forever. It was $65 at my record store, which is not a crazy price for what the album was, but I was like, that's a lot. I don't know if I want to do it. So one day I was like, I'm going to look one more time, and I think I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to go for the $65 if they still have it in. So I went online, looked on St. Marie Records website. They had it, and it was marked at $35. And I was like, what? So went the next day, picked it up, and that is Taylor Swift's first album. The only albums I don't currently have by Taylor Swift on vinyl were this and Reputation, both of which I was kind of trying to wait because I respect what Taylor's trying to do as far as like the Taylor's version, and I don't want to pay somebody who she feels like stole her music from her for her albums. However, this particular album, one of my friends got me thinking about the fact that, like, she recorded this album when she was in her teens. She's 35 now. She's going to do a great version when she does Taylor's version, and I'll buy it, but it will not sound like this because it's been too much time. It's black vinyl, but it's a great album. If you're not familiar with her first album, some of the big songs on here, obviously Tim McGraw, which is the first song, Pictures to Burn, Teardrops on My Guitar. That's the first 3 tracks, and they're all like killer singles. Our Song is on here. I'm Only Me When I'm With You. So, there's a lot of bangers on here. That's why Taylor Swift got big as fast as she did. She's an excellent songwriter, and she's an excellent singer and musician. You may not like her, but that doesn't mean she's not good. And so I love this album. We've liked her since this album, my wife and I, and my daughter's obsessed with her. And so I was very happy to add this to our collection. So at this point, the only full-length studio album we're missing of Taylor's is Reputation, which we will wait for the Taylor's version of. Next album. This one was a bit of a whim, but I decided to get it. And that is Jelly Roll. And this album is called Beautifully Broken. It's got the singles I'm Not Okay and Liar on it. If you've not heard Jelly Roll, so he's in the country scene, but he's got a lot of soul in his singing. And I really love his voice. He's got a killer voice. He's got a great story, about, kind of making a lot of mistakes and trying to turn his life around. And man, this dude is putting in the work. He put in the work to be successful as a musician. Now he's putting in the work trying to lose weight. He's a heavy guy. He's putting in the work trying to lose weight. And I got a lot of faith he's going to get there. And so I'm happy to have one of his records here. I'd like to eventually get several more of them. So I do like, you will notice in this haul that there's a lot of country. And there's something about going into summer in Texas, where I'm from, that makes me want to listen to country or punk and ska. I got a fair amount of punk and ska. Could always grow that too. But I wanted to grow my country a little bit. It was not as developed as I'd like it to be as far as that section goes. So the next one, also country. This is Luke Combs, and this one's called Grown Up. Black vinyl, so nothing too crazy on the vinyl. It's a single LP. Doing This was a big single off of this. Any Given Friday Night. He's got Miranda Lambert guesting on the song Outrun in Your Memory. And so, yeah, some great stuff on here. First Luke Combs album. I like Luke's voice a lot, too. And I think Luke's a great guy, great voice, but also great personality. He's a big supporter of the current sort of diversification of the country scene that's happening. You can feel however you want to feel about this. I love Tracy Chapman. I really, really do. And Luke covered her song Fast Cars on one of his albums. And when people fell in love with it, it helped Tracy Chapman to find a whole new audience, because the album's been around for a while. So to find a whole new audience, and he had her sing with him on an awards show. And I love that, because although I wish it hadn't taken Luke to get people to love Tracy, I think it's great that a whole new generation and a lot more people are going to love Tracy now because of Luke. So big fan of that, fan of this album. So very glad to have added that to the list. Next, another country one. So what I did, every year when we do our taxes, my wife and I take just a very small portion of our return, and we say, okay, you get to spend this, I get to spend that. Sort of our reward for all of our hard work. The rest of it we use to try and get ourselves into pardon that little moment of sibling tension among my children. But so we say, okay, I've got this much money to spend on, whatever we want. So for me, I spent that on records because that's what I want. So got the Luke Combs, got this Megan Maroney, Am I Okay? It's funny, some people kind of joke around about her being kind of the emo queen of country because she's kind of a sad sack song artist, but I really enjoy her singing. I enjoy her album. In fact, I need to spin this again. I haven't spun it since I got it in because I've had so many new albums coming in. But Am I Okay is a great song on here. Miss Universe is a really great song. Mama, I Lied, I really enjoyed. Yeah, there's some great songs on here that are really fun to listen to. Definitely makes me want to get some more of her albums. First song I ever heard of hers was it called Tennessee Orange or something like that? And I really liked that song, so I'd be happy to pick that up too. But Megan Maroney, got that one. Dead Air. Dead Air is good for a video, right? All right, next. Where I've Been Isn't Where I'm Going by Shabuzi. If you have not heard the bar song, parentheses, Tipsy by Shabuzi, I genuinely don't know where you've been. It is a really fun country song. And Shabuzi kind of mixes some aspects of like hip hop and soul and it's just great. You know what I mean? Listen, I love country music, but it hasn't always been the friendliest place for black artists. And there's just a ton of black artists right now that are making a big difference in the scene. You got, Shabuzi and goodness gracious. As soon as I said that, I immediately lost the other artists. Darius Rucker was kind of the first one in there doing it. There's an artist from here in Arlington. I forget her name every time, but I love her music, and I'm so disappointed that I cannot remember her name. But yeah, there's just a lot of great, fantastic artists. You know, Kane Brown's one of them that are putting black country on the map. So love this. You know, Beyonce doing her country album. I'm for it. So this is a fantastic album. I've enjoyed listening to it. Let's see what color the vinyl is. I think this one's just black too. So yep, just black vinyl, single LP, but a great edition. All right, let's see where we're going now. I think this is the last. I got the Luke Combs, the Shabuzi, the Megan Maroney, and this one. Those are the albums I got with my little bit of tax money. So this is Tim McGraw's greatest hits. I didn't have any Tim McGraw on vinyl. Tim McGraw is one of the first country artists that I really liked. And back when I was lying and saying I didn't like country, I liked Tim McGraw and I liked Garth Brooks. My former brother-in-law introduced me to Tim McGraw when One Moment More came out. And Don't Take the Girl and Indian Outlaw are fantastic songs. And then I've loved tons of songs of his since then. Seen him in concert. He's a great show. Very happy to have Tim McGraw. This is just black vinyl also. But this has, it's only got, what does it say? It says the biggest hits. It's only got 11 songs. And man, you could put 40 songs on here. You still wouldn't hit all his hits. But Indian Outlaw, Don't Take the Girl, I Like It, I Love It. It's Your Love featuring Faith Hill. Just to See You Smile, something like that. Live Like You Were Dying. My Little Girl, Felt Good on My Lips. Highway Don't Care featuring Taylor Swift and Keith Urban. And Humble and Kind. So really fantastic album. So glad to have some Tim McGraw. Next, we went on a trip. We live in Texas, in Dallas-Fort Worth. About 2 hours from here, in East Texas, is the city of Lindale, which is where Miranda Lambert's from. And in that city, there's a little sort of boutique shop, women's clothing mostly, called the Pink Pistol. The Pink Pistol, we've been there before. We liked it. We decided to go back as a family. My daughter and my wife got a shirt. We ate at the restaurant that's sort of attached to it called Texas Music City. Amazing food. Highly recommend. And then we went to the park. We went to Lindale Candy Company and watched them make some candy and bought some candy. While we were at the Pink Pistol, there weren't really clothes for me to buy for me or for my son, and he wasn't really that interested anyway. But there were records, and I did not have this Miranda Lambert album yet. So I picked up Miranda Lambert Wild Card. And I'm not going to lie, this is one of her albums I don't know as well. I've got several of her albums. There are a few that I know pretty well. This is one I don't know as well. It's got red vinyl. They had the only ones they had that I didn't have were this and the Marfa tapes. But on this album, we've got Way Too Pretty for Prison with Maren Morris, which I do know that song and love it. And let's see here. It All Comes Out in the Wash was a big single on this album. And Tequila Does, another great song. Those are some big singles on here. So I love Miranda Lambert. We've seen her in concert a couple of times, including we've seen her with the, what's the name of, now I just lost it. Pistol Annies, and loved them too. It's a great time to go see her live, and it was fun to go out to Lindale. We would definitely do that trip again. We weren't able to do it for a while because we didn't have a car that we trusted to get out there, and recently been blessed with a new car, and so we decided to go. All right, the next one, this is another one of those that was a little bit of a whim, but I decided I was going to do it anyway, and I technically had one more album out of my albums I was allowed to buy, so I decided to pick up. It's an artist I've heard a lot about, and every time I'd look at some of the artists I love, he'd show up as like, you would like this person. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go for it. So it's Jason Isbell. This album, Jason Isbell in the 400 unit, this album's called Georgia Blue. I saw it as a Black Friday, Record Store Day Black Friday exclusive, translucent blue vinyl. And what sold me on this album, there's other albums that he had. What sold me on this album was the features. Because this says featuring Amanda Shires, Julian Baker, Brandy Carlisle, Brittany Spencer, and Adia Victoria, or Adia Victoria, I don't know that one as well. But especially Julian Baker, Brandy Carlisle, I'm a huge fan of. So I was very excited to pick up this album. Learned that this album is one that he put together. So it's double LP, blue vinyl. This is one that he put together when Georgia went blue at the election, which is why it's called Georgia Blue. And this is an album of covers. So, and that was one of the things that caught my attention when I looked at the back, because the first track is Night Swimming, which is one of my favorite REM songs of all time. And so it's covers, and it's all of artists connected to Georgia. So we got Night Swimming, Honeysuckle Blue. And by the way, Night Swimming features Bella Fleck and Chris Thile. Honeysuckle Blue with Sadler Vaden. It's a Man's World with Brittany Spencer. Crossbone Styles with Amanda Shire. The Truth with Adia Victoria. I've Been Loving You Too Long and Sometimes Salvation featuring Steve Gorman. Kids Fears featuring Julian Baker and Brandy Carlisle, which that's an Indigo Girls song. Reverse. Midnight Train to Georgia with Brittany Spencer and John Paul White. Man, I love John Paul White too. I was very pleased to see him. Been a fan of his since he was in the Civil Wars. Obviously, he was a solo artist before that, but I found him through the Civil Wars. In Memory of Elizabeth Reed featuring Peter Levin. I'm Through, and then Driver 8 by REM again featuring John Paul White. So I was like, okay, 2 REM songs, which I absolutely love REM. I'm currently reading a biography about them. It's Jason Isbell and the 400. It's a Record Store Day exclusive. This was one I had to pick up. Picked it up, of course, at St. Marie Records. Pretty much all of these records that I've shown you, unless I said it was from somewhere else, I got at St. Marie. So, yeah, really glad to have that one. Let's see, where am I at? Yes. All right. There's still so many to talk to you about. Let's see. The next one, this is one that I pre-ordered, and maybe one that will surprise people that I wanted, but this is Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco, I Said I Loved You First. It's on Candy Cane Red. It has a signed insert, which I think I maybe have right here. Yeah. Signed insert. I really like the art style on this sort of, blurry, intimate photography. This album, first of all, my wife and I, my family, we really like Selena Gomez. We watched the show Selena and Chef. We recently watched her documentary about mental health, which I think is a really important documentary for people to see. Never been a huge fan of her music, just never really listened to it. It's not anything against it. I just hadn't heard any of it. And this album, when I heard the song I Said I Loved You First, and I heard Call Me When You Break Up, I immediately was like, okay, I really like this. And then she came out with the song Sunset Boulevard, and I was like, oh, all right, a little steamy, a little risque. But the more I've listened to this album, the more I've enjoyed it, and it's fun to have something like this in the collection. Again, probably not an area I go to a ton. I don't do a ton of like pop rock. I mean, Taylor Swift is probably the biggest pop artist I have a collection of, but this is really, it's great. I'm glad we have it. So let's see what's next. Where are we at? I think we're right here. Next one. This is one of those things. This is where I can make a mistake. Okay. So I told someone recently at a listening party I went to, which I'm going to talk about in a couple minutes, that on my phone, I always have 2 tabs open in my web browser. One is Discogs, because I love looking at my collection and seeing where we're at and everything like that. And the other is St. Marie Records, where I'm looking up records that I think of that I want. So one day I was thinking, you know what? I really need to get some more Snow Patrol. At least those first 2 albums, I love them so much. I've got to check and see if they have them. Well, I was heading to St. Marie that day anyway, so I looked and found it and ordered it because I have wanted this album on vinyl forever. It's Snow Patrol Final Straw. This has Run and Spitting Games. Run is the first song I ever heard of them. It made me fall in love with their music. A friend of mine had a friend, this is a friend of a friend. A friend of a friend put together like a video of his trip backpacking across Europe, and in that video, he had the song Run, and that's when I fell in love with their music. So, all right, I probably ought to speed this up. I don't know how long it's going to take till dinner's ready, and I don't want to make them wait for me. But the reason I was at the store was for the listening party for this album, Japanese Breakfast, Melancholy Brunettes, and Other Sad Women. For Melancholy Brunettes and Other Sad Women. I have this special sleeve on it that I got for going to the listening party, which was at St. Marie Records. I was very pleased to be able to go. Japanese Breakfast, again, an artist that I really, really love. We got her autograph it's not just a her, it's a band, but we got the lead singer and an author, Michelle Zauner's autograph when she was doing a book tour with her fantastic book, Crying in H Mart. So I was very glad to be able to get this album too. This one's on, I forget what the name of this color is. It might be written on the top, but it's kind of a smoky, I don't know if you can really see, there you go, you can see it really well there. It's kind of a smoky, as I hit the microphone. Let's see if it says here, Frosted Shadow vinyl is what that is. So, again, really glad to have that one and that little special sleeve. We also got a poster, and we ended up winning tickets to a concert at the listening party. So, go to the listening parties at St. Marie Records, but let me win the stuff. You don't win it. I want to win it. So let's see. We're getting close here. Getting pretty close. What do we have? Did that one. Okay, so the next three, I was on a Whatnot auction for NTX Vinyl. NTX Vinyl is a place I used to go a lot. They closed their brick and mortar locations. They still do online. They do Whatnot. And sometimes I'll bid on things at the auction, but a lot of times it gets out of my price range. But so I bid a couple times on this, and I ended up winning it, and I was surprised to win it. But I won 3 records for $22. It was a great buy. These are older records, but they're in great shape. I got Little Stevie Wonder, the 12-year-old genius, recorded live. So there's about 8 or 9 songs, including he does some Ray Charles songs when he was 12. Very excited to have that. We love Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder. We have his greatest hits, but it's nice to get something that's, from his earliest days. Martha Reeves and the Vandellas. This album is called Anthology. It's a greatest hits album, and it is amazing. They're one of those groups that you don't realize that you know a lot of their songs and love a lot of their songs, but you do. So very pleased to get that. And then the third one was this one, if I can get it out. The Temptations' Greatest Hits. Now, this one I actually already had, but it was one that was in a little rougher shape. So I let my mom take that one, and I kept this one. Ooh, man, I'm just hitting that mic all over the place. So that was 3. And then I picked up Friday, I picked up another pre-order that I had, which was the Lucy Dacus album. This album is called Forever is a Feeling. Her brand new album just came out on Friday. Really great album. Some of the lead singles on here, Ankles. Let's see here. Best Guess. I think Talk was one of them. I'm kind of forgetting right now, but they were great songs. I love Lucy Dacus. I haven't had any of her albums, so I was like, I'll start with the one that's coming out right now. So really glad to have Lucy Dacus. And while I was picking up the Lucy Dacus, that day, I saw an album and I was like, I shouldn't get it, but I went back and I got it today. And then I'm done. No more this month because I went a little crazy. And that is Charlie Crockett, Lonesome Drifter. This is an alternative cover, and it's also got a limited edition silver vinyl. By the way, that Lucy Dacus was on liquid gold vinyl. But limited edition silver vinyl is what this one's on. And this is a great artist. I saw him play live with Leon Bridges and Los Hermanos Gutierrez. It was a fantastic show. And yeah, so this month, a little crazy. I think it's 16 records I got. 1 was given to me, 4 were a result of my tax return. And then, they are what they are. But next month, we're going to try and get back down to the 6. Thanks for watching the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.